What's up guys, Chris here. Today we are going to be starting off the tech tip disassembly reassembly video series for the Cybergun /WE Desert Eagle .50 AE gas blowback pistol. And as per usual, we're going to be starting off by disassembling the slide. So what you want to do is pop the magazine out, put that to the side, push the disassembly lever in, and flip the disassembly lever down. Now you might be tempted at this point to slide the slide off the frame in this orientation, but if you do, the barrel and the slide and recoil guide rod assembly are gonna fall down to the floor. So it's better to flip it over and pull the frame off of the slide. So we're gonna put these away for now. Next up, what we want to do is take out the recoil guide rod assembly. I'm actually not going to be disassembling this any further. There are a couple of spring clips on here. Let's see. A bit slippery. And I find these a bit of a pain to work with, but basically you would have to pry off these clips on both ends, and then you could take the spring off and this little block right here. So that might come in handy, for example, if there are upgraded recoil springs released or something like that. So we're going to put this to the side. Next up, we want to separate the slide and the barrel, just like so. We're going to put the actual slide to the side for now and work with the barrel assembly. And basically there's pretty much just one component here to be worried about, and that is getting the inner barrel and hop-up assembly out. And you get that out by punching out this pin right here. I have found that all pins on this pistol go out from right side to left side and back in from left side to right side. So let's go ahead and do that, where you're going to find a suitable punch. I just also want to say that none of the pins on this pistol were particularly difficult to remove, and all of the screws are installed with thread locker from the factory, or thread locker in quotes, and it's pretty much just a glue. So should come out fairly easily. You can see it has the knurling on what would be the left-hand side of the pin. And I always like to keep a tray of some sort in handy to put all these small parts in so you don't lose them. Once that is done, you can pull the hop-up chamber and inner barrel assembly out. Let's go ahead and take this apart. It's secured together by these two screws on here. And to remove those, we're going to need a medium Phillips head screwdriver. So I'm going to do that off camera just to make this video a little bit shorter. Okay, so the screws have been removed. I'm going to put those in my tray. And what I like to do to split the two hop-up housing sides apart, just put my finger in right here and twist, and it should come out pretty easily. And here we have the inner barrel with the hop-up rubber on. Let's go ahead and remove that. Just sort of gently pry it off. And one thing to note here with these new WE barrels is that they're using a new shorter hop-up bucking window cutout. So if you're going to change the barrel and or hop-up, I would suggest switching over to Tokyo Marui VSR spec barrel and rubber. I'm pretty sure those would fit in here as well. So we're going to put these to the side. So what we are left with in here is the actual hop-up mechanism. Let's see if we can get a shot of this. So basically, here is your hop-up bucking pressure nut that's putting the amount of hop-up on the actual bucking, how much hop you're going to get. This right here is just a little rubber piece to secure the grub screw that's controlling the amount of hop. The more you screw that grub screw in, the further down this arm is going to get pushed. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit here so we can see a little bit better. There we go. So the other side is just blank, nothing in here. I'm going to go ahead and remove the grub screw in here, and it's a little bit of an odd size. It's a 1.3 millimeter hexhead or Allen key. There we go. And once that is out, we can also poke out this grub screw retention rubber nub. So that is basically the hop-up inner barrel assembly disassembled. We're going to put these in the tray. Let's move over to what's left of the actual barrel assembly. We have two things still on here. There's a block right in here that's a separate piece from the rest of the barrel. And I have two theories as to why it's separate. It might be due to machining complexity in this area, or it might be to add additional weight. This is held in by two screws right here. I've actually tried to remove this once, and I'm pretty sure either it's friction fitted in here or thread locked or glued in, but we're going to give it a try. So we want to get our medium-sized screwdriver and remove these two screws. I got the screws removed here, and I'm going to put those in my tray. And as you can see, this doesn't exactly come off easily. I'm actually a little bit curious to get it out, just because. Let me give it a try here and see if I can pry it off or something. Right, so I went in with a flathead screwdriver and got a little bit of leverage here. Unfortunately damaged a little bit of the barrel, but it should not be visible once installed. And there we go, it's off. There was a tiny bit of space up here at the front that you could go in and pry it out, which probably would have been better. So that's what the barrel looks like without the block in. And the final piece that we have on the barrel is the front sight. And this is held in by a ball bearing and a spring. And so it's basically just, you're supposed to be able to push this down and then drive it out to one of the sides. I'm not sure I want to do that because, one, I'm a little bit scared that the ball bearing and spring might go flying, and also I'm not sure how I would get it back in. Let's see if we can get a close-up here. You can see right there, there's the spring and ball bearing, and when you can see it flexes down a little bit. So what you would do is push it down and drive it out to either side. I'm gonna try one more time. It's not really moving. Okay, I'm gonna leave the front side in there. Hopefully it never comes to you actually having to remove it. I just tried here with the punch, putting pretty significant pressure. I pushed in on the sight to get it all the way down, and that is seriously not moving. So I don't want to force it, but like I said, hopefully if you end up having to remove the front sight, you'll be able to do it. So that is it for the actual barrel assembly as far as we can go. Okay, let's move along to the actual slide. We will start by removing the safety lever, and you simply undo these flathead screws on either side. And yeah, let's do that and then move on. So once you undo the screw here, let's go in a little bit closer and remove this. You'll be able to lift off the safety lever itself, and underneath there is a plate, which is what's actually getting pressure from the safety lever, and this little nub right here engages in these two cutouts to disengage or engage the safety. And when I had this apart originally, I tried to bend these plates a little bit to get a little bit more pressure on the safety switch because it was rattling a little bit. Didn't work out too well, so you could experiment with that, but I'll probably just leave it as it is. Once you have one side out, you're going to be able to push in. Actually, no, you're not. We're going to have to remove the sight first. Anyway, let's get the other screw out. So exactly the same setup on this side. Screw, slide lever, plate. And underneath those, we have some sort of alignment blocks that you should be able to tap out like so. And these are pretty much what engages. You can see that, let's see here, it's a little bit slippery. So this would be the face that would be sitting in towards this. And you can see it fits right over top. So put those away. And I think this has a little bit of a funny method of installation. The safety lever axis is actually sort of held in by the nozzle. So you can see here it's held in right now. If I pull the nozzle forward, it disappears. And basically there are two cuts in this. So either side of the nozzle right in here to go all the way back, and you can also see right here that's the nozzle poking back. So put that to the side, and to get the rear side off and the blowback housing unit out, we have to remove these 4 screws in the blowback unit housing. And these are, like I said, everything on here was thread locked or glued. So it might take, I think 1 or 2 of these were particularly stubborn to get out. So be careful not to strip any of the screw heads or break any of the screws. Once we undo these, the blowback unit is going to be able to be pulled out, and the rear side is going to be released. It's retained by a nub in the blowback unit housing, and also these dovetail cuts to keep it in place. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the screws. I got all 4 of the screws removed. Put those in my tray, and now we'll be able to flip this over and simply pull out the blowback housing like that. And by doing so, the rear sight will be free to be released. So the nub I was talking about for the rear sight is right here, and it slots into that cut right there. Nozzle return spring fell out. That's fine. I'm going to put that in my tray. We're going to move the slide to the side. And basically, this is pretty much like any other blowback housing and nozzle. Nozzle comes straight out. You pry off the piston head like so. We undo this Phillips head screw. By removing this piston head's retention screw, we'll be able to pull off this little nozzle sleeve, I guess. So that's a little bit of an interesting design. Let me put, we're gonna look at this, and I'll put these to the side. So in the blowback housing unit, let me put the nozzle to the side. What we have left is the fake firing pin assembly. And basically, it's the firing pin, a spring, and a pin. So this pin right here would go out right side to left side. Push down on the pin and push the firing pin, I should say, and push the pin out. Remove the firing pin. And let's see if we can get there we go. So that's the fake firing pin, and that's the spring that was underneath. And the pin retains the fake firing pin by sitting in between here. So that is it for the blowback housing. We have one more thing to look at. Okay, so the final part of the slide to disassemble is the nozzle. And it has this tiny Phillips head screw right here that we need to undo to get the valve, floating valve blocker, floating valve and spring out. So I'm going to find my tiniest Phillips head screwdriver and undo this. And this is where having a tray for parts and screws comes really into handy. And to get the internals out, I usually just push a screwdriver pin down the front. Okay, and you can also, I guess, tap it out like so. So here's the blocker, floating valve, and the spring, and the nozzle, which is huge. What we are left with is, well, actually, there is one more part in here, which is this slide to barrel alignment thingy, which actually goes in, let's see, yeah, it goes in the hole here. That's like so, right in there. And it kind of looks like this is slotted in right here, you can see. And possibly also, once you get that out, that you have to rotate it. I haven't actually removed this. I'm not sure I want to. Oh right, I almost forgot. We do have something else here that we can remove. Here's a rubber buffer for the slide and barrel assembly when it recoils, and you simply, let's see, lift this out. So here's the rubber buffer. And on mine, I don't think this was listed in the disassembly, or I'm sorry, the exploded view. There's a little plastic spacer behind it that you want to take care of. So put that in my tray. I'm gonna see if I'm able to remove this. I was able to remove it, just like I said I would. I took a small punch, lined it up down here, gave it a whack with the hammer. Let's see. Yep. And it came out. but you can also see that this has some pretty serious glue residue on it, so it's simply a straight out maneuver. I didn't have to rotate it to get it out. So that would be excluding the front sight, which I'm a little bit irritated that I'm not able to get out, but also kind of happy that I didn't, because I think it's going to be a pain to reinstall. We have completely disassembled the WE Cybergun Desert Eagle .50 AE gas blowback pistol slide. That's going to be it for the disassembly video of the slide of the Cybergun /WE Desert Eagle .50 AE gas blowback pistol. And in the next video, I will hopefully be showing you how to put all of this back together. So I'll see you guys in the next video.